U.S. in regular contact with Saudi Arabia, our global oil supplies. The United States is in regular contact at senior levels with Saudi Arabia about ensuring a stable and affordable supply of energy to global markets. National Security Advisor Jack Sullivan says. The statement follows International Energy Agency IEA estimates announced that oil output cut with Saudi Arabia and Russia extended to the end of 2023 will result in a substantial market deficit through the fourth quarters this year because of high demand. Sullivan confirmed to reporters at the White House briefing that US President Joe Biden had a brief exchange with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the Group of 20 G20 summit in New Delhi earlier in September. The main topic of that discussion was the announcement of a new economic corridor that will link India, the Middle East and Europe via rail and sea, he said. OPEC and its allies known as OPEC Plus began limiting supplies in 2022 to bolster the energy market. The Saudi-led oil-producing group pumps about 40% of the world's crude oil, meaning its policy decisions can have a major effect on oil price. This month benchmark Brent US $90 a barrel for the first time this year after OPEC Plus leader Saudi Arabia and Russia extended their combined 1.3 million barrel per day BPD cuts until the end of 2023. Output cuts by OPEC Plus members of more than 25 million BPD since the start of 2023 have so far been offset by higher supplies from the producer outside the alliance, including the US, Brazil, and still under sanctions Iran, the IEA said. But from September onwards, the loss of OPEC Plus productions will drive a significant supply shortfall through the fourth quarter, it said in its monthly oil report. The kingdom and the power. How to savage the US-Saudi relationship. Saudi Arabia reported that OPEC Plus, a gathering of oil trading nations, would cut oil creation's target significantly by 2 million barrels each day as the world's top exporter of the oil. The Saudis have consistently started to lead the pack in the collective endeavors to deal with the world oil market. The move humbly affected oil costs, which rose from a low from the extended time of around $76 per barrel before the devaluations to a scope of about $82 to $91 by mid-November. The shock felt by Americans was more international than financial. The Biden's organizations had requested that Saudi Arabia postpone the cut, yet Riyadh proceeded it at any rate, reprimanding Washington. The subsequent recriminations among Washington and Riyadh have raised doubt about the fate of the reciprocal relationship because of the OPEC Plus choice. The Biden's organization reported that it would reconsider its relationship with Saudi Arabia and said the cuts would increment Russians' incomes and boost the adequacy of assets acquainted accordingly with Russia's intrusions of Ukraine. Robert Mendes, a popularity-based representative from New Jersey, promised to impede arms deals to Saudi Arabia. A few individuals from Congress presented a bill ordering the evacuations of US troops from their realm. Riyadh would not backtrack. It was consistent and based simply on financial motivations, to say the OPEC Plus choice. In the mediating months, tempers on the two sides have cooled, and it appears to be impossible that the Biden's organization's contradictory examinations of binds with Saudi Arabia will prompt a significant change. Examiners and eyewitnesses of US-Saudi issues will generally zero in on people and their plans. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is hard-headed and dictator, trying to revamp Saudi Arabia economy and lift his country's job as a free worldwide player. US President Biden conversely has a more very style and needs to make a majority rule government and highlights of his international strategy, revitalizing the war against Russia and China. The OPEC Plus contention focuses to three significant changes in the two-sided relationship that go past character and will have more enduring results than the activities and responses of any leaders. First, the global balance has shifted. Washington's relative influence in waning as the international order becomes multipolar, making reasonable power countries such as Saudi Arabia more likely to hedge their bets and less likely to throw in their lot with just one great power. Second, as a climate change pushes the world away from fossil fuels, Saudi Arabia is under pressure to cash in on its oil reserves while it still can, a sense of urgency that is coloring its approach to productions and pricing. Third, like almost every issue of significance in American politics, the questions of US relations with Saudi Arabia has become intensely polarized along partisan lines in United States, in no small part because the Saudis themselves have made their preference for Republican clear. The grand strategic overlap that for decades defined the US-Saudi relationship no longer exists, but the prospects for cooperations on relatively narrow set of regional and economic issues remain good if both sides understand these shifts so they can reach a more realistic set of mutual expectations. Saudi Arabia became vital to the US after the Second Great War, a contention that features the focal job that oil would play in present-day military procedures and monetary turns of events. From that point forward, the world has encountered three periods in the dimensions of worldwide power. In the first, the virus war, Saudi Arabia had barely a choice yet to help the US international objectives. All things considered, it could not depend on security and financial help from the Soviet Association, which supported a large number of Riyadh's territorial opponents and embraced a progressive socialist philosophy contradictory to the moderate Islamic premise of Saudi rules. At that point, choice about Saudi oil creation stayed in the possessions of the American oil organization that fostered the Saudi oil industry during the 1950s and 1960s. Riyadh did not have the ability to manage Moscow on inquiries of oil, regardless of whether it needed